Oh, my name's Karen Cassady, and I am an ensemble member at Dadsgarage Theater, an improviser. Oh, and I'm an actress too. I do both.
She does it all.
I do it all.
I'm Whittney Milsap, improviser at Dad's Garage and a local actress here in Atlanta.
I'm Jenny Wentling, and I am a general company member at Dad's Garage, and I am a set designer for television here in Atlanta.
Just by doing something in the background, like object work, or he'll come in and say one line, fill in gaps where it's needed. Like he's someone that I have always looked up to.
And one of the founders of the theater.
Exactly, yeah. But there's several others, but he's one of my top ones. What about you guys?
Mm-hmm. That's a toughie. I agree. There's definitely, it's interesting, because when we first came into Dad's, it was like, I feel like all the people we admired were like in their early 30s, mid 30s, and now the generations have grown, and we're in our early 30s, and we have the new 20 somethings, and it's just so interesting because I feel like you're still in awe of those kind of gods that like got you there. So we were just talking about last night, there was a show, Dan Trandaflo, a local actor, and his acting background, I feel like, makes his character so committed, and he's definitely one of these people who's taken all of his acting skills and really put it to improv, so he can create a character and do object work and think of a hilarious line and do all of these things at once. But also I would say like Mark Kendall is a real standout. I mean, he's all over Atlanta, works with every theater, works with every person. He embodies to me what improv is. In fact, I was talking to somebody the other day about him, and I was like, the thing about Mark is he is improv. Like, he's not afraid to fail. We always talk about like, don't be afraid to fail, and to some extent, like, you're not, but you are, right? Mm-hmm. You like want to work again. But the incredible thing about Mark is you're seeing it in action. That like like I said, he does a one-man improv show, and I've seen things not work out, but he has such a way to draw the audience in that you're cheering for him, because he isn't afraid to go into uncharted territory and completely explore it, whether it's a success or a failure. And I think that vulnerability and that daringness, we as humanity are like craving, and especially at this time in our lives, in our country, like people to be great and dare to do something that we can't do. And it's just incredibly inspiring. And so I think that like Mark is always on the cutting edge, pushes himself to create new content, work with new people, be all over. I mean, and then his work itself like is truly improv, where he's out for the discovery all the time.
Some of my favorite acts, well, one of my favorite groups to watch right now, I mean, it's weird because we're all just friends with each other, so I'm just gonna list my friends. My friends are hilarious.
I know.
But Ed, Tom, and Ruben have been doing so much right now. Ed Morgan, who's one of the artistic directors at Dad's Garage, Tom Rittenhouse, and Ruben Medina are both, all three are currently doing a podcast called You're Welcome Hollywood, and they're regularly doing shows at Dad's Garage. And I don't know if they've been traveling as a group lately.
They have in the past.
Okay, yeah. And I wasn't here for I get the stories of like Ed, Tom, and Ruben, the young boys. Yeah. Like I didn't see them like that. I came in and they were like
polished.
They're fucking good.
Yeah,
man, they are. What I love about watching them is just like there's so much friendship there, and it just travels so well. They're so smart about the dumbest things, but it's just so fast and clever, and they're on the same page, and yet bringing something completely different to the table while doing that. So they're just rapid fire, going back and forth. And I jumped on their podcast once as a guest, and I'm like, I'm not trying to keep up with these guys. They're too fast. They're too funny. But at the same time, it's everyone is fabulous. Yeah.
I would also just say, this wasn't part of the question, but I think is important, is that like the women who have inspired us.
Yes, I was thinking.
Wait, we all just need men.
Yeah, I know.
Well, they rule the world.
So many women though.
Yeah, I will say, but that's like a transformation that's also happened in the last 10 years. When we got to Dad's Garage, I think there were 2 female improvisers, and now we're almost like a 50-50, if not 50-50.
I think the general company is actually majority women now.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Very cool.
Yeah.
But that's definitely something that's been... That's definitely something that's been like a focus, is like, how do we start to empower more women's voices? And so I think that especially coming in for us, those Amber Nash and Megan Leahy were the 2 improvisers, and Eve Kruger, who was here at the time, so we had 3. Were women that we looked up to, who would go out there and, you know, and improv still is, but definitely then was like a real white boys club. Like, and, you know, you really kind of got pigeonholed to one role or the other. And I just saw these women come in and not only not be afraid to like hang in there, but like also elbow people out of the way, as you know. And it's like, I'm not going to be what you tell me that I am, and I am going to have an artistic voice, and at the same time I'm still going to make you look good, even though that's not necessarily what you're always doing for me. And that was just incredibly inspiring to see that there could be something more.
I think that also we've focused on doing that. We have broadened our horizons in trying to broaden our cast.
Yeah.
And we've done that recently. What I've been really excited about is we've been working more with movement and dance. Mm-hmm. And we've brought in both Mallory Hazen and Royalty. Mallory has been teaching movement workshops, and Royalty is a local burlesque performer, and she's, a professional. And both of them have been teaching their own forms of movement, and it has brought in, I mean, there are a handful of men doing it as well, but it is kind of, particularly the burlesque show has brought in a craft that sometimes will benefit women more, because, you know, a lot of guys like to just stand there and talk. And when there's movement involved, it favors the ladies sometimes. Well, it favors anyone who's working on it, but just offering that is giving us a leg up in, we can bring in different performers. And so you don't have to be a funny guy to walk in. You can be someone who moves funny.
Yeah.
You know?
And the cool thing is I feel like as Dads has grown with that, like, the male performers that we have at Dad's, I can only speak to Dad's, I'm sure at other theaters this is happening too, but they've all, like, you know, joined the movement as well and are incredibly supportive on stage. And I know that there are conversations at Dad's, even just this week, about, like, you know, how do we play women that aren't stereotypical? And I was so thrilled that it was 4 guys doing the scene, and when they jumped up to do it, they were just people. And it's like, so there was no stereotype of a certain voice or a certain way you walk or a certain whatever. They were just humans who had jobs speaking in their regular voices. And I don't know, I just feel like that's such a cool thing, and I think it makes me very proud of our theater, especially, is that people are welcome to all kinds of conversations, and really about, if this is a culture that we say it is, of everyone's invited and it's inclusive and it's about making each other look good, well then how do we actually do that to, you know, include sexualities and people of all kinds of gender or however they identify, or women. I just feel like across the board there's so many conversations about how do we keep comedy but at the same time, like, serve to humanity, to give respect, you know.